Now Django. So I think one person is telling Django about Django. So can you tell me what is Django? I have already given this cheat sheet. So anyhow, can you share your understanding about Django if anybody know? Your experience, anybody experience Django?
It's a
No?
Python framework to build apps,
Yeah, it's a framework to build apps,
Yeah, websites.
create sites, right?
gaming application.
Gaming
Web
up,
development.
gaming applications in Django. Yeah, you can install the packages and using those interfaces you can create those. Makes sense. Yeah. Okay, great. So first line, a high level web framework that can encourages rapid development and clean pragmatic design. So big advantage of using this framework is the rapid development. Why it's rapid development? Because it's all built in components and packages are there, right? You do not have to write insert, update, edit or delete methods. You have to just create the table through using this one, and it will take all the operations how you can edit, delete and create. It's fast, that's why it's fast and clean, right? We'll come and see how it's fast and clean. Follows the batteries included philosophy. Here batteries included philosophy means it's a providing various built-in features like authentication, URL routing, templating, and database management. That's why the word battery included has been used. Django's modularity is evident through its use of reusable apps and pluggable components, allowing developers to create modular maintainable web applications. So here pluggable components means your application is supposed that already running. One Django application has been created, a web application. After 6 months, you need to add one more component. There is not going to change anywhere big change. You will create that component, just 2 3 places you will make a change, it will start to work. Plug and unplug you can do easily, and reuse apps. Interesting?
Yes.
Great. So now see some actual implementation of Django. The official website of Django is www.djangoproject.com. So let us see which is the website. 1 second. So you see this djangoproject.com. This is the official website of Django. Here you can download or they have very nice documentation. You can go and learn as much as you can from this documentation. There very nicely they have given the examples how to install, how to create applications, how to start server, how to do various database operations. So it is very nicely they have created the contents here. You see, lots of contents they have created for each and everything, right? So let us we go with installing Django. So how we can do that one? If you are in Linux on macOS, Linux or Ubuntu, you will get Django through python-m pip install Django, right? Or if you are in Windows, just this, because Windows do not write the Python, sometimes we write only py. Hope you knows, right? So let us install this one. So what is the command? So what should I do first before installing Django here? Anybody can help?
Activate the
You have to
environment.
activate the environment. Yeah.
Activate the environment, correct. So how I can activate the environment? Here, source, then Django, then bean, then activate. Activated.
Yes.
Now, what was the command to install Django?
Python -m
Python -m,
if
then
install the Django.
install pip. Sorry, there was a pip. Install the Django. You can specify the version of the Django you want to look to install. Like here, I have already given
Then just check the spelling.
here, right? Or you can leave, not specify the. Oh, sorry. Right? If you're not providing any version, it will install the default stable version, latest one, right? It's giving me the information required already because Django is already installed on my system. So, but if you are to looking to your system to install, this is the command, right? And this is for giving me update the pip one, because pip, you know about pip. Anybody can tell me what is pip command?
Python installation packages.
Great, Python installation packages. So like you use the npm, I think someone is npm familiar with, right? So this is the same thing pip is doing here. So if your system has not pip already, you have to install this pip also. So now we have Django, we are in the virtual environment. Now suppose that, one second, let me go to the slide. Check the version, which version the Django what I have installed is the correct version or something else I have installed. So how you can do that one? Python -m Django version. So in my system, the Django version is 5.0.1, right? This way you can check the version. Now next thing is create project in Django. You have the Django framework, but you have still not created any project using that framework, right? Understood?
Yes.
So now we'll create a project. We have the framework, but we have to create a project where I can use all the features of that framework. So for that, I have to write Django -admin start project my side. Django -admin start project, and then
Project name.
project name. My suppose that I'm giving Django project, right? I think already this name will be used. First Django Pro. I'm just giving this one, right? So if you just list down this folder, you see this is a folder has been created. Once you write this with this name, a folder has been created. First Django project. Clear?
Yes.
So once this project created, you see one file manage.py also created, and then with the same name one folder also created within that, and it's also containing some pre-existing files created by this framework. This underscore init underscore dot py, asgi dot py, settings dot py, evrs dot py, then wgsj dot py. These are the default, by default Django creates these files, right? So this is how you can create a project in Django on your Python environment, right? And how you can run Python manage.py run server. So first of all, I would like to tell about something about these files. So basically manage.py is the main command line file, will work as a command line. All the command whatever we give will go to the manage.py, and that will do whatever the operations we are looking in that project, whether you are running a project or creating some applications, you will have to always use this manage.py. These files have some separate roles. Right now nothing is written here, but by default it's entry point of the project. ESGI, sometimes we have to deploy the project on the ESGI server, then it will be used. Settings is the most important files in Django, right? So here base directory is defined, some debug is true. Debug is true means our project is in the development mode. If you are in production mode, then you should make it false. Allowed host, like it's very important security feature. You want this Django framework wherever you're installing will be accessible by the server only where it's installed, right? Only those hosts are allowed to connect with this framework. So it's a good security feature. Here these are the installed apps. So by default, as I told you, batteries feature philosophy follows this Django. So by default, this admin, authentication, content type, session, messages, static files, these applications are already created. In Django, each module or each section you create, it's a application. And Django project is created using different applications. So like admin is application here. I am doing some authentication, login and doing some authentication. Authentication app has been created. So these are the inbuilt apps. That's why by default it's showing here. There are some middleware also created by Django, and for the security, for the session management, and different types of like CSRF. You can see here CSRF. So what if you're filling a form and there is CSRF activities going on, this middleware is taking care of that security. Authentication is already there. Messaging, doing something message related module is there, then this module, this middleware is taking care of. So this is the inbuilt middleware. You can create your own. This is the URL of the global entry point for the routing. This is the routing file URLs. And template folder is this one. Basically there is a template in the backend. So backend is this one. You can put your own directory, that where you want put your design files or HTMLs, you can put here. And this is the WSGI. If you're hosting your application WSGI, this is the some syntax is there for that. By default database Django come with SQLite, right? But if you want to use SQL Server or MySQL, Oracle or Postgre, you can mention here. They have all different databases, has some database engine you put here, and then database name and username and password. Then that will be connected with that database. Your Django app will be connected with that database. Then there are password validators. These are validating your password, entering some like it's a minimum length, it should be follow, common password node should be used, numeric password validation should be there. So by default it's putting some validation here. And language code, what is the default language your website is using here? The English US is using. Time zone UTC, you can change it to Indian time zone. Similarly, this use I8BN telling that this Django can be used as a multi-language support is there. Suppose you are creating your project and this project should support the multilingual, then it should be true. Time zone, you can specify the time zone. If it's true, if your website is hosting a different time zones, then whatever the data is insert, it will also include the, like 5:30 is the RPM, but in what time zone. This is the static URL, like you put the CSS, JavaScript images files in this folder. And the last one is the big autofill. Whenever create a database, create any tables in using models in Django, one is the primary key, which is by default used by Python. You have to not specify the primary key. It take care of this. And type of that primary key is big int. So hope this setting file is clear to you, right? And next is, this is the routing file. Whatever any URL is requested, it will first come to this file. From this file, it decides what application you need to open, which application you are looking to open, right? So there is some high level understanding. So now let us move on. Now we wanted to run this one, Python manage.py run server. Clear it. Python manage.py run server. Can anybody tell me what will happen here?
Server will start and page will be visible.
Yes. What went wrong? Anybody can tell? What went wrong? Where I'm wrong? Please help me. Because I'm writing manage.py, right? And manage.py is under this folder. So I have to go in that inside. CD first. I can see manage.py right now. Okay. I have to be inside the end project. So if I run, it should work. Working. And by default, your this is the URL. Web server has been launched, and if you run this, yes, your Django has been launched successfully. Congratulations. Great. So this is how the complete Django from virtual environment to get the Django framework, then create a project, and then run the server. Also, sometimes you see what is the default port used by the Django here. What is the default port Django is using here?
Python
8000.
8000. Port.
Port, PORT.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 8,000.
By default, it's using 8000. It is possible that your computer or laptop is using that 8 port by different applications, right? So how can I avoid that? Using Control C, I am terminating this web server. Clear. And I have written this one, right? Python manage.py run server. I can specify my port here, on which port I want to run this web server. Clear? Now this project will run on this URL. And if you refresh this one, this is already stopped, but if you type this one, this will work. Understood?
Yes.
Great. Now the next point. Anybody asking anything?
Sir, where do we find all these commands where we change the port numbers and other things? Like, how do we get to know that these commands are used and how can we apply?
See, I told you, documentation of Django. Basically, this is a
Okay.
short class we are dealing with. So we're not able to cover all the points, right?
Okay,
So
okay,
if
sir.
you go here, how to get Django, this is the command,
Okay, sir.
and after installation guide, you see uh, created first project. You can check the version. This is the
Okay,
command to
okay.
create or start your project, create your project, right? They have created very nice tutorial. Believe me, you should, if you are very interested to learn Django, you should go only on this tutorial. You have to use this documentation. You see, they have this folder and file structure I have already explained, right? And they have also mentioned here. They are talking about each and every one, right? You have run. I've used this command. Python manage.py
Yes.
run server.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Great. By default, this one. Now
Okay.
here also mentioned that you can put your own port, right?
Yes.
So they have, even whatever I'm telling you now, they are written more and more things here in, because they spent many years in creating this Django framework and writing this documentation. So they have, right now I'm giving you overview, but all the things are here. Clear? Good. Very good to move forward. Or any question? I think no question. We can move forward, right? So I've already written here in the documentation as well. If you want to run a particular port, you can put here port. And now, one good and interesting thing is that, as I already told you, that Python, if you're creating applications, any modules you're working in Python, not Python, in Django, you have to create apps. So how you can create applications in, suppose you are creating a polls app, how you can create that? So this is the command, python manage.py start app polls. So see here, I'm just terminating for now here, clear, right? So what is the command to create a application? Can you help me to write? Fast, anybody?
Start project.
Python manage.py start
Startup
app,
app.
and then app name.
App name.
You see, always I'm putting a manage.py. This is the, you can say, commander of the Django framework. What happens? You see, one folder has been created, right? Suppose
Yes.
you want to create another app like newsletter. It's created another app, right? So according to your project, as much modules you are looking, you can create. And once a app is created, what it look like? There is view file. You put all your whatever will be visible in the web files, and those HTMLs will be in this file. If you want to write test scripts for your project, you can put test scripts here. Test cases, models, all your database level operations, or you can looking to create any table, you will write the model here, classes of that model, apps. So basically this is the main entry point. This is the configuration file, you can say, for this Pulse app. Admin, if you are looking to link this Pulse app with the backend of the Django, you have to register here. Your model will be registered here. So in detail you can learn in the documentation and you can get some idea. But for now I'm just going to giving some overview. So I'm just showing so how this can be done. We created this app Pulse. This structure has been generated, right? And in the view file, view.py, in this file they have written this one, this HTTP response from Django.http, import HTTP response, and there is a function index. There is always parameter request, and it will return some text, hello world, something we are writing, right? In view, I'm looking to, if I type my URL, this should be printed. So I have written this in view. Then there is a URLs. This URLs is the local router file for this application, right? Because in a particular application, it's possible that you have more than one pages. So first it's telling that if something is coming and that is blank, nothing, no, in the URL nothing is coming, I should load index only. I should call this index, right? Then in URLs, this is the main URL. You see, one is the, if I'm closing this one, now open and see. This is the file. This is the main router file which is under the project, and within application there is no any router file. You need to create a router file like urls.py, right? So within local router file you put your all router according to need of your application, and finally that local router file reference would be put into the main router file, this one. This reference is here, and then you will run the server and you can access the URL. Well, if you type like this Pulse, you will get the something. What will get the response? You will get response this one, right? So this is how you can try out at yourself after installing by copying these contents in your files, and you can run. This will work. Correct? Now, also how you can create some models, like here some models. There is a pulse.models.py. This is the models file. Here you define the required tables classes. Here is one class is question, another is choice. I have a question and that question can have multiple choice. So I am creating a choice table, another is a question. So I have taken two fields, question text and publication date of that question. And I am using models. Models is a one This is the main class, and from that I'm using this property, and I'm defining this should be the care field, max field length will be 200. This publication date will be dated time format, and just putting some comment. Another table choice. This choice is linked with which question. So I'll make a foreign key with question, right? And on delete model.cascade means if I'm deleting this one, if I'm deleting question, this choice will be also deleted, right? Then choice text, then boards. So this is how you can create different tables. For creating tables in Django, you have to define the classes and their fields in models.py file, right? And once you have created these models, you have to register this. I've shown you this one. Post.config. We have to put this in setting.py. So we are linking that polls application with the Django framework. Django will only identify that application polls if we put here in the settings file, right? And then you can run, you can check. So if you run, once you create here, you have to make sure you have to run migrations. So there are two steps. Once you define the fields and classes here, what you have to do, you have to run this command, make migrations. And which application? Polls. So it will generate these files. It will generate these files, and where it will be generated? Under polls. Under polls and then migration, right? And once you're done, you can check that it will look like this, right? And once you have done, you have to write just python manage.py migrate. Then it will actually create those two tables in the database. And which the default database Django is using? Which is the database? Which is the DBMS it's using? SQLite, right? So you have to run this. Because I want to use the pre-installed features of Django, so this is where I am writing, and thereafter I'll go to my slide. So till now, you guys able to understand, or still any confusion, so that I can explain if anybody has some question. Because we have very less time, that's why I'm explaining through that documentation website. Because if you start to type, and it will take hours to hours. So we can move forward, right? Anybody can acknowledge?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, great. So that way you can create models, you can create apps, you can link with the settings, and you can see that one. Now, Django also offering admin features. There is a built-in admin feature. So to use that, what you have to do, create a super user. And before that, I have to run some migration, so that before creating that user, so those tables should be created in the database. So this is the command to create a super user for the admin. Like username, I want to keep it J. Email address, just leave for now. It's a week, I want to keep as it is. So super user created successfully, right? Now we'll run the server. So my server is running. I'll go and if you want to access admin, you will type here admin. You have inbuilt admin interface, login will come. J 1 2 3 4 5 6. This is the password I have given. And this is the admin given by Django. You can create your apps, and those apps will be visible here once you link those apps with the admin. So that's why rapid development is possible here, right? So I think we are till now we're good with the Django. Some basic understanding we have now, correct?